Hi, I'm Gina. Thanks for joining me today. This video is going to focus on some very simple poses that you can do if you're feeling a little tightness in your back. I've been doing a lot of traveling the last few weeks and my back has gotten really tight from riding in vehicles and sleeping in beds that are not as comfortable as mine. So I thought I would share with you a couple of things that I have done to help my back during this period when it hasn't felt its best. So the first thing, I highly recommend you have something to sit up on. Have a folded up blanket or cushion. The most important thing you can do if you're feeling uncomfortable tension in your back is to find a neutral spine. So when you sit up on a blanket or cushion so that your sit bones are balanced on the edge of the blanket or cushion, and you can find a nice neutral position for your pelvis and then for the length of your spine. So have that something to sit on, and then if you have yoga blocks, or you can use a stack of books if you'd like, something to give yourself a little support when we do a child pose. You may or may not need it, but again, when you have tension in your back, the first thing to do is to do each of the poses that you're doing at a lesser degree than you would probably normally do them. So you're working your way back to your back feeling better. So find that neutral position for your spine. Think of balancing your head right over top of your shoulders, shoulders right over top of your hips. Think again of this nice neutral position. We have that just natural curve in the lumbar back. We don't have an excessive curve or a flat back. Sternum lifts, collarbones nice and wide. Let the hands rest on the thighs with the palms facing up or down. And just close your eyes for a few moments to just check in. If this does not feel comfortable for your back to sit down on the ground, you can always do this first part in a chair, but make sure again you're finding that neutral position for your spine. And then just take a few moments to focus on your breath. Full breathing can be another way to help release tension in the body. So as you gently breathe in and out of the nose, begin to think of breathing into the areas that might feel a little tense or tight. So if it's your lower back or the middle back or just the whole entire length of your spine, think of breathing, inhaling and exhaling, full breaths in and out. Think of breathing from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head, and then releasing the breath from the crown of the head to the tip of the tailbone. And again, think of breathing maybe into the lower back. And then again, if your tension is more in the middle part of the back, maybe think of breathing into the middle part of the back. Think of breathing into the back of your ribs. And again, wherever you feel that tension and tightness, or again, just maybe thinking of that breath, full breath in and out, up and down the length of your spine. And then very gently let the eyes open. So we're going to start with a very simple pelvic tilt. So with the hands resting on the knees, palms facing down, ever so gently let your pelvis tip forward so you're feeling a little bit more arch in your lower back. And only do all of these movements just till you feel a little bit of stretch, but not going to your fullest part of these poses. So again, we're working gently with the back. And then as you exhale, draw the belly in and just round the back slightly. And then again, inhale, let the pelvis tip forward, feeling that nice length in the front of the body. So keep that going a few more times. And as you're doing this, again, simple, gentle movements to start with. So we're just rocking the pelvis, a seated pelvic tilt, forward and back, which again is going to get a little bit of movement in the lower back. And again, just use the range of motion that feels okay for your back, just that little bit of stretch. I call it the Goldilocks stretch. Not too little, not too much, just right. And then come back to center. And then again, very gently begin to make a circle with the ribs. So as you circle the ribs, you can just very gently exploring some motion. Notice what feels good. And if making this circle doesn't feel as good for your back, maybe think of just spiraling a little bit from the sit bones, like your sit bones are the base or the bottom of a spinning top, and you're just kind of making a little tiny circle. But again, if it feels good to get a little movement in the ribs, you can do that too. But again, start kind of small, just kind of testing the waters, and then maybe make the circle a little bigger, maybe stay at the same size. Again, maybe notice if you need to make the circle a little smaller, but keep breathing. Inhaling and exhaling, and then gently notice which direction your circle's going. Do a pause and then circle the other way. And again, it might feel different as you circle the other direction depending on where the tension is in your back. And again, maybe it's just that tiny little circle, keeping the spine more vertical rather than, again, that movement through the ribs. You decide what feels best for your body. And make sure you're breathing. Full breaths in and out. And then gently come back to center. Find that nice length right up through the spine. And then gently move whatever you were seated on. Just move that out of the way, off the end of your mat. We will come to standing in a few minutes, so make sure that's not in your way. Have your blocks, if you have a block, close by so that you can use it. But come to table pose, come to all fours, and again, first find this nice neutral position for the spine. So crown of the head lengthening forward, lowest ribs drawing towards the hips. So we want to find that same alignment that we had when we were seated. And then that same idea of that pelvic tilt. Now with our cat and cow, we get a little bit more movement, but as you exhale, draw the belly in, round your spine gently up towards the ceiling or sky, and then inhale, let the pelvis tip forward, lift the heart and the sternum, take the gaze forward and up into cow pose. So again, do this at the movement, the range of motion that feels appropriate for your body. So it might be a tiny, tiny little movement each direction, and that's fine. But move slowly and mindfully with your breath. Full inhales, nice lengthening through the front of the body. And then full exhales, nice lengthening through the back of the body. Keep that breath. And again, just explore those sensations. And then after this exhale, just come back again to neutral. And then we're going to play around again with that moving of the ribs. And again, if this does not feel good for your body, you can keep repeating that cat and cow movement. Otherwise, let the elbows bend a little bit and start to take the ribs in a little bit of a circular motion. Again, nice and slow and gentle, and make the circle kind of small to begin with. And then you can make it a little bit bigger if that feels okay. If you're starting to feel like it's helping to loosen up some of those tight muscles. And again, don't forget your breath. And after a few circles, maybe 5, 6 circles one direction, go the opposite direction. And again, that may totally change the sensation you're feeling. So just be very mindful of how your body's moving. And once again, come back to neutral, back to your table pose. Now bring your big toes together, bring your knees towards the outside edges of the mat, hands towards the outside edges, lengthening through the crown of the head. Send your sit bones back towards your heels and begin to let the forehead release down. If your forehead doesn't come comfortably down to the ground with a nice alignment in your spine, let your forehead rest on your block. Or you can stack up your hands, or you can use a stack of books here. But a couple breaths here. Really think of breathing again into the area of your back that might be feeling a little tension. Inhale and exhale. You can do a little gentle roll of the head side to side if you'd like, if you're feeling any tension in the neck and the upper back. And then gently let the head come back, resting, with the forehead resting either on your mat or on your block. And then we'll do just a tiny little bit of lateral flexion here. So lift the torso slightly. Walk your hands over towards the left edge of your mat. Now, if your back was feeling super good, we'd say go as far as you can to get a nice stretch. But I want you to just go till you feel a little stretch in the right side of the body. And then gently, again, use your block if you need. Let the forehead rest on your block. The other option you can do is take your left hand, make a fist, and let your head rest on your hand. But you're getting that nice stretch through the right side of the body and the right ribs and the right lower back. And again, don't go so far that you feel anything uncomfortable. It feels just like a good stretch. Inhale and exhale. And then press into the palms, lift the torso back up. Walk yourself back to center. So we're going to align the spine here first before we go the second direction. And then press into the hands, lift the torso. And again, walk your hands over towards the right side of the mat. Again, just so you feel a nice stretch, not too much in that left side. And then again, let the forehead release down to your mat or to your block or your hand. But breathe and stretch through the left side of the body. Full breaths in and long breaths out. And then pressing into the hands, lift the torso back up again. Walk yourself back to center. Let the forehead again release down. Maybe again stacking up the hands or forehead on the block. Breathe into the back. And then pressing into the hands, come back up to table pose. Bring the knees back underneath the hips, wrists back underneath the shoulders. And then bring the hands a little bit in front of the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, curl the toes under, lift your knees, keep your knees really bent, cinch your sit bones up and back, come to a bent knee downward facing dog. So this can be a really nice stretch for the lower back, especially if you keep the knees bent. It takes the emphasis in this pose off of the hamstring muscles. So let the knees really bend, send those sit bones up as high as you can. Feel that nice stretch through the back of the body. Breathe. And you can do a little work with the hamstrings, but keep the left knee bent, gently straighten through the right leg just a little bit. So get a nice stretch through the back of the right leg, but still keeping that length in your spine. And then bend the right knee and then straighten through the left leg a little bit. And then once again, bend that left knee. Again, pause here for that nice length in your spine. And then again, really let the knees bend. Draw your lower belly in. Begin to walk the hands back towards the feet. Knees really bent, chest resting on the thighs. Come to a standing forward bend. If you could like to take hold of opposite elbows, if you'd like, you can rest your hands on the mat for a little support, but just let the crown of the head dangle down. Take a little breath here. Inhale and exhale. And then to come up to be kind to your back, bring your elbows to the tops of your thighs so your knees are still really bent. You can bring the palms together here if you'd like, lengthen through the spine. Inhale and exhale, draw that lower belly in, and then bring your hands to the thighs, straighten the elbows. Inhale and exhale, and then gently press into the feet and come up to stand, come up to your mountain pose. Pause here for a moment, close your eyes, find that alignment in your spine. Inhale and exhale. And then if your back is feeling pretty good now, if you feel like it's not quite as tight, let's go back the same way back down the same way that we came up. So bend the knees a little bit, rest your hands on your thighs. So start here, neutral position for the spine, so we're not rounding the spine. And then thinking of this movement coming from hinging at your hips, bend your elbows, rest your elbows on your thighs. And then you can take that forward bend down, fingertips to the mat, and then walk yourself back out to that downward facing dog. Send those sit bones up and back. Inhale and exhale. Then release the knees down to the mat. Uncurl the toes, come back to a child pose. You can do traditional this time with the thighs parallel with each other, or bring the knees wide. Once again, inhale and exhale. And then as you're ready, bring the hands beside the knees. Press into the hands, bring yourself back up to a seat. If you're comfortable seated on your heels, you can sit on your heels. Otherwise, you can come to a cross-legged seat once again. Find that nice alignment in your spine. Again, draw that lower belly in, lift the sternum, energy through the crown of the head. Let the eyes close. Take a couple breaths. Again, breathe into the areas of your body that may feel tension or tightness. Hopefully maybe a little bit less now. Inhale and exhale. And then as you're ready, gently let the eyes open. So thank you for joining me today. Again, that's some simple poses that I do when my back is feeling tight. So I wanted to share that with you today. And again, there may be other poses that help you, but doing them to a level that feels appropriate for your body is important. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Check out Grey Horse Yoga in the info section below and have a great day. Bye-bye.